But in the case of beans, there's a fairly good chance some beans might be someone else in some other part of the state even. That there's a kind of a shell bean that I come up with periodically in town after town, different areas, and I suspect they're all selections of King's Early, a horticultural bean. But I don't know that, and without a DNA analysis of King's Early and then comparing it with the others, it's hard to know that. Yeah, that's part of the problem with this, is we know we've lost a lot, but we don't really know just how much we've lost. Some of these varieties that are lost may still be around by a different name or a different strain. The genes may be still around. It's more than anything, it's part of our culture, our heritage has been lost. May or may not mean loss of genetic diversity. It often does both, but yeah. Probably since time immemorial, varieties have been coming into existence and some being lost. It's kind of like the evolution of wild species, of rainforest things, is in the last generation or two, it is spiked. In the 20th century, we've lost something like over 90% of what we had before that. And some of the stuff that we seem to have lost, again, continues on under a new name, but some of it is just simply lost and we'll never get it back again. So yeah, this is an atypical spike. Yeah. And there may have been some other times before when it has happened. I mean, the main thing that makes it happen is things like during the Great Plague, who knows what else, famines, civil wars, things like that. Those are particularly alarming not only for the human suffering involved in it, but genetics is invariably lost in those. During the Balkan Wars, I mentioned at Srebrenica, but who knows how many varieties of particularly beets, but also maybe apples and pears and other things were lost due to bombing. I mean, sometimes during wars, enemies have, that's been part of the strategy, is to cut down the orchards. Yeah. When was it Jackson went to the Shenandoah Valley, part of this strategy was to take an axe to all the orchards there. And inevitably, a lot of varieties were lost because some things were just locally in the first place. Yeah, it's hard to define and hard to quantify that. All we know is simply a lot of stuff is lost. How much it is, what it was, how valuable it is, we can only conjecture. In Cambodia, during the Pol Pot regime, people were required to, all the rice was basically sent off to China because they were basically a client state of China to keep the Chinese happy, send it all there. And what some friends of mine who were literally slaves, a girl who was a little girl was a slave at the age of 9. We think this is the 20th century, whatever slavery is gone. Her grandfather was executed by being beat over the head with a shovel and pushed off a cliff. I mean, they couldn't even waste bullets for them. And the people were given, to keep them alive, they were given squash. These refugees from Cambodia today, I remember the local church brought them and helped them out, and all the local gardeners wanted to help these people out, give them some winter squash. And when I met them, would you please take this? We can't stand this. We appreciate it, but give us some rice, And but anyway, during this period, they lost hundreds of varieties of rice. Huge center of genetic diversity, Cambodia. Huge number of these things that went extinct. Now the good news there's a partial good story. There are, in the various places around the planet, there are various gene banks. Most of them were done by, like, Rockefeller Foundation in the course of the Green Revolution, for whatever motives, but vast collections of stuff. Our own government has these vast collections, tens of thousands of varieties of different things. For example, CIMMYT in Mexico City has a huge collection of particularly corn, but also wheat and some other things. Well, anyway, there happens to be in Los Baños in the Philippines, IRRI, the International Rice Research Institute, where they have rices from all over the world. And it just so happened that they had, in previous decades, collected a lot of Cambodian, a lot of Khmer rices. And they were able to repatriate about 300 varieties to Cambodia. Whether that was a big part of it, we don't know whether that was everything or whether it was a drop in the bucket, but that's the good side of it, is these seed banks can be very helpful. It's scary to rely on them because it's an awful lot of eggs in one basket. The current thing that a lot of you have heard about is the Svalbard, the big up in the pole in the Arctic Ocean. There's the island that the Norwegian government is maintaining this vast collection of things. Yeah. Some of the things from my collection actually are in there by the Seed Savers Exchange. Put them in there without my permission, but they were welcome to. And it's kind of, they call it, referred to as the Doomsday Vault, which is a bit of an exaggeration, but still the idea is if the doo-doo hits the fan and civilization goes down the tubes, we'll be able to go up there and push the polar bears will be extinct by then anyway, so we'll just somehow row there. You don't have to, there won't be any ice there, so you can just paddle there in the canoe and get into these, somehow these cells, if you know the combination, you'll get in there. I don't know. It's, I poo-poo it only because it scares me to think of that as a solution. But on the other hand, we should do every stopgap we can. It's good that we're doing it. It's like Noah's Ark, you know, you don't want to count on it, but it's good to have that option available. So I'm not opposed to it at all, but on the other hand, I'm worried about people feeling, oh, it's in Svalbard, we'll be all right.